All right. Here we go. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight for another online travel education with Travel on a Dream. Tonight, we are going to be talking about back to cruise. And on the call with us tonight, I do have Daniel Katz. He is my marketing sales manager for Celebrity Cruises. And he's going to go over a little bit of what we can expect from Celebrity and the Royal Caribbean group. And I'm going to fill in a few other things that we've learned in the last few days after that, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A at the end. If you have any questions while we're going, feel free to type them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and try and answer those right away. Otherwise, like usual, we'll open up to Q&A at the end. And so, Daniel, you can take it away. I think you're still muted. Oh, you're unmuted on your picture, but not on your phone.
So you can hear me, yes?
Can't hear you very well. Let's see. I'm not sure how we unmute your phone.
Hey, Tracy, maybe unmute everybody and then we individually mute ourselves.
I'm not sure that I can unmute everyone. Once I mute you, I don't think I can unmute everyone.
Here, I'm going to hang up on my phone.
Okay.
And we'll just play jazz, right? Here we go.
Okay.
If you can hear me, that's a good thing. So, I'm Daniel Katz. I've been with Celebrity actually about 7 years. In about 10 days, it will be 7 years. I love what I'm doing. I'm passionate about the brand. I believe in our brand. I think we have an incredible brand. So, first of all, thank you everybody for jumping on, taking your eyes off of whatever news channel you watch all day. I hope this is a good little break from you. There's exciting stuff going on in the cruise industry. And I know Friday we have some really exciting news. And we know cruising is coming back. We have the approval, but we have a lot of work ahead of us. We did have a little bit of a setback on Monday with some cancellations, but it was really to be expected, and we'll touch on that later. But as we return to sailing, there's really 5 key things that we're going to be looking at from a brand and from a Celebrity point of view, and really also to the entire Royal Caribbean family. And what we have done is we put together a healthy staff panel. Richard Fain, our amazing CEO, you'll see him later on. Wonderful picture. I'm sure everybody's thrilled about. And we put this team together with Dr. Gottlieb and a governor from Utah, and just leaders across many different industries to put together a healthy sail protocol plan for us to get back to sailing. They worked on this for probably 2 months or so, and then it was presented to the CDC. You can see Dr. Calvin Johnson. He's our global head of public health. He's amazing. He has a lot of experience in the public health care sector, and then he partnered with all these people and we put together a great plan. So what we'll share with you tonight, next slide, what we'll share with you tonight is really an overview of what the entire package looked like and what they took into consideration. So when we did this Healthy Return to Sailing plan, we partnered with Norwegian Cruise Line. The only thing we're doing with Norwegian was working on this. We figured, hey, let's get as many people together, whoever wanted to join, Norwegian joined with us, and that way we put our forces all together to go after one common goal. And I think we got to a really, really, really good place. So the 5 areas of focus, and I'm just going to overview them real quick, and then we'll kind of go into some of them, but we wanted to focus on prevention. Tracy, you can go to the next slide. I'm going to talk through a couple things first, though. Prevention. So we want to ensure that the ships sail with healthy guests, healthy crew, from start to finish and when you get home. The other thing was mitigation. How do we minimize the spread of infection? We had destinations. What are the destinations going to look like? Are we going to go to private islands? Not necessarily celebrity. We don't have a private island. But what ports of call will allow us there, and what will that look like? What will the excursions look like? The other is mobilization. Do we have a rapid response if there are confirmed cases of COVID-19 on board a ship? What do we do, and how do we ensure that everybody has a safe passage home without burdening a local health system? Okay, and then the last one is really validation, right? How do we hold ourselves accountable for all the things that we're doing? So those are the 5 big pillars that we were operating under during the Healthy Sail panel. And of course, number one thing that everyone probably would assume is testing. How do we make sure that you get on board and off board and home safe and healthy? We want to make sure, and I think Richard Fang said this in one of his videos, is we want to make sure that you are safer on board than you would be in your own home or going out grocery shopping, things like that. So that's our main goal. We will do testing, we'll do screenings on board, and we will try to find the best way to reduce the exposure of COVID-19 on board. One of those ways, obviously, is wearing masks. So you can definitely, for the close-in departures, I would say, I'm going to guess at least first quarter, second quarter of 21, we will probably see masks required on board. Does that mean you're going to have to wear masks in every area? No. When you can properly social distance, you'll be able to remove your mask, and we're going to make sure that we have places where you have that opportunity to social distance. So you can, again, count on testing before you get to the ship, testing at the pier, and then obviously there's a lot of things that are still in the works for anything after that. Right? So another big thing that we all know is sanitation, right? This has been a big portion of cruising anyways. We have had clean ships. We had a third-party audit, I believe, at one point, where celebrity ships ranked up with hospital-grade sanitation. So it's never been a huge concern for us as far as sanitation. One of the things that we always hear in the news in the past was, oh, norovirus and things like that. Most of the time when something happens on a ship, it's not because of the ship, it's because of somebody who made it onto the ship with some sort of illness. But we want to make sure that everything is sanitized. So what can you expect? You can expect that there's going to be enhanced hand sanitizer stations all over the place. We're going to be cleaning more than we ever have cleaned in the past. Everything from elevator buttons to door handles to staterooms, obviously, are going to get cleaned. You're probably, it's a safe assumption to say that your stateroom attendant will not be in your room or cleaning your room if you are in there. They're really not going to be bringing you stuff to your room, dropping it off like that, door to door, hand to hand. You'll see electrostatically cleaning, spraying things down, everything that is safe for you. The other thing is ventilation. Ventilation has always been important. We will upgrade probably most of the filters that are on board the ship. But one thing to keep in mind on our ships is that, for sure on Edge and Apex, I know this is very true, is our air is pulled in from outside, goes through the filtration systems, and then pushed out into the ship and out of the ship. And it's about every 6 minutes or so, there's brand new air coming into the ships. So as far as ventilation and air filtration, we feel very confident that this is another great way for us to kind of mitigate that spread. And then when you tie this in with masks, we feel very confident. So response, what happens on board? What do we do if there is a case or even an outbreak? So I know a lot of people who aren't avid cruisers, and I think most of you are avid cruisers. You understand that things do happen on board a ship. Where we are today versus where we were on March 13th or 16th or whatever it was, very, very, very different times. Things have changed. Our response is a lot better. We know a lot more. We're learning a lot more every single day. But what we're able to do now is we have contingency plans in place. We will have quarantine staterooms on the ships. We're going to be upgrading our medical personnel to ensure that we have enough medical personnel on board our ships just in case. Do we expect to use them? No, we really hope not. We really hope that we never have to get to this. But we wanted to have detailed plans that will address any positive infections that are on board and what treatment would look like at that. So we are looking at all this, dissecting it every single day, looking at what's going on out in the world, and then using that as some of the data to figure out what protocols are going to work. Everyone's favorite conversation, destinations and excursion planning. So, destinations right now, it's a lot of it's out of our control when you look at the Caribbean islands. So one thing I have to say is we will start in the Caribbean. Obviously, European season is over. The Alaska season is over and all that. So we will start in the Caribbean. We will start with our first two ships will be Edge and Apex. We know that. I feel very confident that we'll go with that plan. So where do they go? When you board the ship in Fort Lauderdale at our brand new terminal that's down there, go through all your health screenings, get approved, you get on the ship, get to your stateroom, you go, all right, where's our first destination? I will ask you right now to stay a little bit flexible with us and understand that this is an ever-changing situation. We are working with local authorities in different ports of call to figure out, hey, where can we go? How can we do this? How many cruise ships will be in the port? I can tell you for sure, right now, in the very near future, if you are on a sailing, you're probably, your choice to be on a celebrity shore excursion is probably going to be the only way that you're going to be getting off the ship. This could change if there are tour operators and things like that. But at this time, from what I'm hearing, we'll make them celebrity shore excursions in order to visit these folks. Again, all of this stuff, we hope that it's very temporary. We don't want this to be long term. And just as we all want to move on with our lives, we want to move past all this, get to a place where if you were to get off in Venice, you can go and enjoy Venice how you want to enjoy Venice if it's not a celebrity shore excursion. I will always encourage a celebrity shore excursion just based on we guarantee you get back to the ship and the safety and all that. So just bear with us. But we will work with our suppliers that are down there to ensure that your safety is the number one focus for the excursion. The biggest goal is to create a travel bubble around you. You're with the people that are on the ship with you. You're going into places that have been sanitized and creating this bubble so that everybody gets on and off the ship clean and safe. The other thing that a lot of people forget about is we have crews from all over the place, and our crew does they like to get off board the ship. Well, we're going to make sure that we're mitigating the risks for them. So we'll be offering them maybe short excursions that we provide for them. We'll give them the option to purchase, and they are going to remain in that bubble. A lot of times when we got it before, they were free to go and do what they want. Well, for the time being, it's going to be heavily restricted for them. Our crew is such an essential part of the cruise experience that we need to make sure that they are 100% healthy and they are not breaking the bone. So we're going to make sure that that is taken care of. I've heard little snippets here and there. It's possible because we're going to reduce the number of guests that will be on board our ships. I don't know what that occupancy percentage is. There will be staterooms that will be available, and we will try to spread out some of our staff. So maybe it's not 2 or 3 or 4 people in a stateroom. Maybe it's one person in a stateroom. So, there's a lot of moving parts, and I know there were really quick overviews on some stuff, and I know you guys have questions. In the next several weeks, there's going to be a lot of things coming out about our protocols. What does it look like? And Mark, I'll actually touch on your question, and if everyone can see that, Mark's asking, what the pricing for celebrity shorts will be. As of right now, I haven't seen what the short excursions will be and what the pricing is. It is something that I guarantee we are talking about. If we're saying, hey, you have to take this short or one of these 6 short excursions, my guess is that we are looking at that pricing to ensure that it's not a burden on our guests. So yeah, it's a great question. It's something that Tracy and I can circle back on for sure. Again, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out. There's a lot of things that the CDC is requiring us to do. There's trial cruises that we're going to have to do. We have to prove to them that everything that we're putting in place is going to work. We feel very good about the stuff we have in place right now, but we know as time goes on that we're going to have to pivot a little bit. We're going to have to adjust. And it's going to be something that we're going to have to do constantly, adjusting. But for right now, from what I'm hearing, crew is moving. Crew is on their way back to the States to get on the ships, and we're going to do our best to get everybody on very soon and share a very in-depth protocol list. Oh, mustard. All right, so to me, this is one of the most exciting things, and this was going to happen whether COVID-19 hit us in March or not. We've been working on this for a while. The first thing that you do when you start your vacation after getting your stateroom, well, after grabbing a drink, you annoyingly have to go to this mustard zone. And you have to cram yourself in the rendezvous lounge or cram yourself in the theater, and everyone's going, all right, move up, move up, move up. That's not the way to start a vacation. And we said, why can't we imagine this or reimagine this and get it to be a little bit better? So we came up with Mustard 2.0. As long as you do this pretty much before the shift is going to be, you're in good shape. You will have a celebrity app, open it on your phone, go through the training on your phone, and at some point, you have to go check in. There's no mandatory time to go check in. You're not going to be sitting in a room. You could do this on the TV in your stateroom when you're unpacking. While one person's unpacking, the other is going through the muster drill. You guys go check in, you're done. You don't have to sit in a big room. So this is really an exciting piece of news for us. You'll see this across the fleet. You also see this on our sister, as far as the celebrity app goes, I encourage you all to download it. As long as you have smartphones, you can download it on iTunes or Google Play. And when you use the app on board, there's no Wi-Fi package that you have to purchase. That's all a complementary platform that you use. So that's pretty simple, pretty streamlined, and you can do a lot from it.
Okay.
So this, I'm going to kick it over to Tracy here, but you can see two amazing pictures. Sister ships, they finally met in the Caribbean about 2 weeks ago or so. And actually, it was a very cool picture that we got. I believe it was 6 of our ships, 5 or 6 of our ships, all met together to welcome Apex, making kind of a big exit in the ocean. It's a pretty neat picture, and we're excited to have her join the fleet. So I'll turn it over to Tracy to touch on a couple things, and then we'll get into some Q&A. But feel free to write your questions down, throw in that chat box. I know there's going to be questions.
Okay, well, and here's that picture of Richard Fain. He is the chairman and chief executive officer of the Royal Caribbean Group. Royal Caribbean Group is, of course, Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, Azamara, and now Silver Sea, and a couple other smaller cruise ships in Europe. Richard has been very good to me for my psyche through all this. Every few weeks he posts a video for the travel partners so that we can be informed of what's going on and what they're doing. And I mean, I wanted to vote for him for president. He's a very reasonable person. And so on Monday or Tuesday, no, it was yesterday, he did a video about back to cruising and what they're going to be doing, and he gave us a chance to pause him and go vote if we hadn't voted yet. But he had a lot of really interesting things to say, so I put together a few slides about that. One thing that Richard said is, this is not as simple as driving to the store, opening the door and turning on the lights, and you're back in business. There's a lot of moving parts on a cruise, and there's a lot to be done. So I put together kind of a timeline, so to speak, of what Richard said that they had to do according to the CDC guidelines. And this is the framework for conditional sailing from the CDC. They need to train the crew in the new procedures, get the crew back to the ship safely, which is going to involve multiple COVID tests before they leave. Once they get there, they're going to be quarantining the crew for 2 weeks before they get them back together. They have to reposition the ships to where they need to be. Update certifications of anything that the ship gets certified on, a number of different things. They've got to update all those since they haven't been sailing. They've got to order provisions for the ships. And there's some physical modifications that are going to need to be done for the ships to make sure that they can do physical distancing on board and social distancing on board. And then, of course, like Daniel mentioned, update the medical care facilities on board. And then they're going to start the series of trial sailings. And it's not until after all 10 of these steps take place that the CDC is going to allow the cruise ships to sail. And this isn't exclusive to the Royal Caribbean Group or to just Celebrity. This is all cruise ships sailing in and out of US ports have to go through this. So that's why the cruise lines did have to cancel the December sailings. There's just, as you can see, there's a lot of steps involved to get there. But there's not so many that we don't expect sailings to come back fairly soon. We're only less than 2 months away from 2021. So it's possible that we're going to start seeing some sailings in early 2021 from all of the cruise lines. And now I'm going to show you some pictures of Edge and Apex, since they are going to be the first 2 ships back. And you can see easily how you can socially distance here. I'd love to socially distance there for the next 2 months if I could. As Richard said, that there is going to be a lot of tweaks through this process, not just once people are sailing, but between now and when guests are welcome back on board. It's their goal that you're going to be able to cruise safely and the Royal Caribbean Group is still going to deliver all the elements of an amazing cruise vacation. I can't say enough about some of these spaces on here. I was on the Edge last year, I think. Did she come out last year, or was it the year before?
No, no, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was on board 2 years ago, and it's just an amazing ship. I can't say enough great things about it. And the Apex, I'm sure, is going to be just as good or even better. Once passengers are back on board, they're going to continue to tweak the experience, as they do all the time, just to make sure that they can enhance your experience as well as your safety on board. We do need to be aware of everything going on in the world, and that's also causing them to take a little bit more of a pause and make sure everything is right. I mean, cases are surging right now, and we need to be aware of that and make sure that everybody's going to be safe getting to the ship, being on the ship, and then getting back home. Richard shared with us that there's 4 strong signs that this is the virus's last surge. I'm sorry, he said that there are strong signs that this is going to be the last surge of the virus. And he came up with 4 reasons to be very optimistic about where we're going. First, mask wearing is up and will continue to increase, hopefully, and that's your first step. More testing will be done. Then there's, of course, the therapies, and finally we'll have vaccines. All of these will constrain the virus and speed our return to normalcy. And I feel really strongly with what Richard said about this as well. I think we are definitely going in the right direction, and very soon we'll be able to get back on board, and in no time we'll be having a drink at the martini bar and without a care in the world. This is something I brought up to you guys a few times before with our previous Wednesday webinars. The Royal Caribbean Group has a Cruise with Confidence. They have extended this through November 30th. What this means is if you book between now and November 30th and you just decide that you're not real comfortable a couple days, up to 48 hours prior to sailing, you can cancel your sailing and get 100% of what you paid towards a future cruise. The cruise needs to be taken by May 4th, 2022, but you're going to be able to get out of that sailing without the normal penalties that you would have. And obviously you're not going to get your money back, but you are going to have that money to use towards a future sailing. They also have lift and shift, which as we get closer to November 30th, this isn't really necessarily something you're going to use. Basically, you're going to move your current booked cruise 1 year out within 4 weeks, either way of what your current sailing is. It needs to be an identical sailing, identical class of ship, and then they will guarantee your pricing. And the last one is the best price offer or best offer guarantee. This one we're already doing for you between booking and final payment, where if a new promotion comes out, we get it applied for you and get you the lower price. But Celebrity is also taking this up until 48 hours prior to sailing. So if you make final payment today and a month later your price just dropped down, we can get that adjusted for you in the form of an onboard credit to be used on your sailing. So there's really no downside to booking your cruise now and locking in under the Cruise with Confidence.
Tracy, I want to jump into is as far as, booking early and things like that, it kind of in the state of the business right now, what we're seeing on our end is this week is just a weird week overall, but business has been kind of creeping up. And as we start working through our plans and in the next couple of weeks, releasing protocols and whatnot, all those people who, like yourselves, who have missed out on their vacations this year have really started booking for 21 and 22. And people are really looking forward to getting out of the four walls that we've all seen for so many months. And the pricing right now is pretty decent pricing. And I think as we start seeing the ships fill up, because keep in mind, we'll probably for quite a few months have some limited capacity, pricing is going to steadily probably creep up as capacity fills. So, if you're looking at something and you have not booked it yet, let's take a look at it. Talk to Tracy. We can talk. We'll figure something out. We can look at, different pricing options for you. And I would hate to see everyone who says, oh, I want to go to Alaska or Europe or whatever it is, wait right now when all it is a deposit. Don't wait until we get into next year or whatever, because you're going to lose out on some of the good pricing that's out there right now. Especially if it's just a deposit you have to put down.
Right. And we've also got a nice offer for you right now. If you book between now and the end of November, a balcony concierge or aqua class cabin, you're going to get $100 onboard credit. If you upgrade to a suite, that's going to upgrade to a $200 onboard credit. And if you're on the Edge or the Apex, you'll get an additional $50 onboard credit. So we've already got one person or two people on this call that have taken advantage of this offer.
So I'm gonna get crazy. I'm gonna get crazy on you, and everyone who's on this call. On top of this, if you book by, let's say in the next 2 weeks, by the 18th, I'll also throw in a night of specialty dining for you. I'm feeling generous. Don't tell my boss.
Sounds great. Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah.
And now we'll open it up to any other questions. If you guys want to unmute your lines.
And ask anything, whatever you want to know. I will try to inform you if I know the answer. If not, we can always research answers or make something up.
Don't make it up.
Let's go on the fly here.
50% discount, right?
Yeah, we'll see what, that ended yesterday.
So it's up to 75 today.
Did I forget to tell you that?
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. Just give us your credit card. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, he does already.
Anybody have any questions?
Tracy, have they been in contact with the Canadian authorities since it's the CDC is US? We're going to Canada, a whole different government. So
Well, the Canadian government has just shut down their ports through March, end of March of 2021. It's going to be their call. It's not up to they're not going to coordinate with the CDC. It'll be totally up to the Canadians. And my guess is it's really going to depend on our numbers. If our numbers start going down, they're going to be happy to welcome us back.
Yeah, I think you'll see, and this goes even for the Caribbean too, where, some places are opening at the end of the year, some places aren't. There was such a loss in tourism revenue for so many places that I think that as we are more and more successful and sailings are going smooth and we see that it's getting under control, I'm hoping that, Canada says, hey, we get it. We understand that you guys have everything in place. And here's what we're gonna, here's what we're gonna allow you to do. So yeah, right now we remain extremely confident and extremely hopeful. Um, that our Alaska season shouldn't be affected too much. And Alaska's, they're waiting. They need us. Good question though.
Hey, Daniel, do you see embarkation where they're going to be very stringent on you can only come between this time and this time? That way we can stagger everybody getting on the boat?
Yeah, awesome question. I'm glad you asked that one actually. Yeah, and I know in the past, there's been like recommended times between this time and that time, but I think what you probably will end up seeing would be when you go and do your online check-in, you'll probably have to pick a 15-minute window or something like that that says, Karen, you have your choice. You can arrive between any of these times, but you have to pick your slot, and that's when you have to arrive. And, I know logistically, with airlines and things like that, it gets a little bit crazy, but it's probably something you're going to have to do when you do your online check-in. So when you do that, I would encourage you, down the road, if that's what we have to do, pick it at the time that you're doing an online check-in. But yeah, I do see that and I see the time slots being a lot shorter window. My guess would be, 15-minute windows or something like that. Come in, get you tested, and I'm not sure what the true protocol will be in the port terminal. But yeah, you're gonna have a check-in time for sure.
What will be kind of interesting about that is right now I tell clients when they're checking in, because they have to select a time right now.
Yeah.
It's just a wider time frame, and clients tell me they don't know when they're going to get there. So I say, take the earliest time, then you're still covered. That's going to change, I imagine.
Yeah, and I've always been that person. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get to the ship and get myself organized and all that. And my window might have been later, right? So I'm the one who holds everybody else up. But I think we're going to really hold people to it. And it really just comes down to being able to do what we need to do and how we need to do it.
On your COVID-19 test, are you be requiring one like 72 hours before you board the ship? And then you're gonna do one at the ship, as you're going onto the ship, or starting it before it.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do one also coming off the ship?
So a lot of that is still in the works. I'm going to take a big jump here and say, yeah, when you get off the ship, we will probably be doing them at debarkation as well. But yeah, from what I've heard and what we're kind of kicking around, with the CDC and all that, would be, yeah, at some point prior to you boarding the ship or getting down to the terminal, yes, you need to most likely have that PCR test. And then when you get to the ship, I don't know if it's PCR or the antigen or whatever it is. I don't know those details, but I feel very confident that, yeah, when you do get to the port area, you will be taking a test.
Is there going to be a charge if you have to take that test?
At the terminal?
Yes.
I don't believe so. No, the test prior going down, I would imagine it would, there would be some charge if you go to, a local testing site. However, at this time, it's hard really for me to comment on how that's going to be worked out. I don't know, Tracy, if you have any insight or anything you've heard.
I have heard from other companies, not necessarily the cruise lines yet, because they're still working out the details, but other companies are talking about working with CVS or Walgreens, and I wouldn't be surprised if the cruise lines didn't do that. Have some sort of an agreement where even they could do the testing and get it even automated right to the cruise line or something. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. And just, Mark, to clarify something that you said, I got the impression you were saying if you needed to have a test when you got to the port. I think what Daniel was saying is everyone would have to
Right, yeah.
have a test.
I was just curious if there's going to be, here's another 250 per person whack every time they do a test on you.
No,
Just got a budget for it.
I don't foresee that, just as a brand and being an ethical brand and being transparent with our guests. That's something I'll definitely circle back with. But no, if we're requiring you to do it at the port, I don't see us saying, hey, let me have your CPAS card and eat up all your onboard credit.
Yeah.
I'd have to come up with a lot of onboard credit for people.
Tracy, when you board, since I've never been on Celebrity, okay,
Mhm.
is it going to be, I mean, how do I get a terminal spot? Okay, on the ship I go on all the time, I get on, I walk up, I get on because I'm
Yeah,
platinum. So
and
how do I
when
do this?
when Disney started doing port arrival times, you were already a platinum member, and so it wasn't
Right.
required of you. But when you go online to do your online check-in, typically, and I think even with Disney right now, there is a tab that it goes to, and it says, as a platinum member, you can come anytime between this time and this time. For everyone else, there is a set of times and you have to select, I think it was a 15-minute or a half an hour increment that you would be showing up at the port. So it's the same sort of thing with Celebrity and Royal, and just about everybody has been doing that for a while. But like I said, with Disney, with Concierge and Platinum, they have allowed you to just come whenever you want. But I'm guessing Disney will be changing that as well.
Okay, so will it be based on, I've been on 10 Celebrity cruises and I've been on 0, so therefore I'll see you at 3:00 in the
No,
afternoon?
it'll
Okay.
depend on when you are checking in.
Okay.
If you
And
wait until you're just getting ready to go to the port and you do your online check-in, you're gonna have the latest time possible, more than likely.
Yeah, and a lot of that and the times and the time frame and all that is still really being worked through. However, if you have Tracy, who's your travel consultant, I
Don't
can
say that she'll do
guarantee
it
you.
for you.
Yeah, I can guarantee you that you probably. I don't want to guarantee. I feel very confident that you're not going to have the latest time. She won't let that happen for you. But right now, it's again, like Tracy said, is we have those boarding time suggestions out there anyways. It's just, from what my best guess would be, is we're going to just narrow those windows and hold you to it. Now, my guess also would be is if you miss your time, hey, we'll see you at the later times. So it really comes down to keeping everyone healthy, the social distancing, and adhering by the CDC's rules and the protocols that are put in place, because we only get one shot at this.
Mhm. And that would be something, Daniel, that would be good to know how it actually comes down to it.
Yep.
What if somebody is on their way to the port and run into traffic and they miss their time slot? What will the procedure be? Will they automatically go to the end, or will they fit them in, or?
Yeah, from just some chatter that I've heard is, you'd probably end up going all the way to the end. Unless maybe you get on pre-cruise planner and see a time slot that opened up, but we'd have to push you back.
Okay.
Just again it's all being worked through, but that would be my best guess, is that we'd have to push you to the end just so that we can get through the boarding the way that we need to get through the boarding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I have to wait, I'd rather wait at the port. Even if I get thrown to the end of the line, I'd rather wait at the port. So
Better have some time than no
You
time.
have a martini bar out there.
Yeah,
You never know.
I see a lot of people milling around, kind of like, as you're trying to get on an airplane too, they're all just kind of waiting at the gate. I see a lot of people waiting outside of the building until their time slot.
So I haven't heard anything about that. I know that happens, right? But as far as what's going to go on in the future, My guess is they're looking at that. What happens when, you know, all of us that are on this call show up, but our time isn't until, you know, 2 o'clock, but we're there at noon. What
Yeah.
do they do with us? So I would imagine that they are looking at all that. How do we handle it? Where do we go? What happens at that point? So again, these are all the things that so many people are working on and looking at right now. It's very possible, you know, Tracy and I could reach out to all of you guys again, you know, in another month or so and say, hey, we got even more for you, or a lot more. So, you know, a lot of it, I hate saying stay tuned, but there's a lot of stay tuned right now.
Maybe we could do a live from the Apex.
Yeah.
I nominate Tracy to be one of those testers.
I've already volunteered with every cruise line I work with.
Yeah. We'll see. We're going to see what happens. That's the other, you know, we don't even know. So my guess would be we'll start with employees, and then from there we still have to, it can't just be the employees. So it's going to be, it'll be interesting to see what and who and how all of it's going to go down. We're just kind of waiting on it. It's a waiting game.
I told Daniel earlier, I'll volunteer to even be a COVID positive test one so that they can lock me up in the iconic suite and give me Luminae food all day and yeah, several other places on board. I can maybe eat in, just deliver me food endlessly and my own
Yes.
bar. I'll do it.
I'm right there with you.
Take one for the team, Tracy. Take one for the team.
You know, I'll do whatever I have to do for science.
Yeah. Good. What else do you guys have?
Hey, Daniel, once cruising starts, how long are you looking at? Is it going to be like a short cruise, 4 nights, 5?
Yeah, good question. So, yeah, we'll start short, you know, so if anyone has that, you know, 12-night sailing in January, I can't officially say that it's canceled, but what you might see would be something like that split up into 3 4-night cruises, right? Yeah, it's pretty safe to assume that we're going to start with the shorter sailings.
Mm-hmm.
And then with success, we will get longer and longer. And with success on the longer and longer, we'll bring additional ships on board. It will move pretty quickly from what I can kind of gather in the chatter that I hear is if we do have those very successful sailings, we'll push it out. I believe in the CDC paper right now, though, I don't think right now we'd be able to do more than 7 nights. But again, we need to prove ourselves anyway. So yeah, safe to kind of put your money on shorter sailings. But what that looks like, is it 4 nights? Is it 5 nights? Is it 7 nights? Still kind of up in the air, but I'm going to guess that 4 or 5 night range for a short time.
So Daniel,
Yes.
I'm booked for the 3rd time on
Yeah.
the summit in March.
Yeah.
The first 2 times it got canceled by Celebrity for me.
Yep.
So I'm really hoping that Celebrity doesn't cancel again. But
Yeah.
I'm sort of not feeling that hopeful that cruising out of Puerto Rico with all of the current ports that
Sure.
it's gonna, in the timing of the rollout, is gonna work. How soon will we get notified if we have a sailing that isn't going to make it in the timeline to meet the CDC
Yeah.
guidelines?
Yeah. So I don't know the timeline for sure. I would say though that flexibility is going to be the key here. I would say that should we be canceled by March, right? You said March or February?
March is the cruise, the 13th.
Okay, so by March, I feel very, very, very good that we will be sailing. You know, what ship? Not sure.
Yeah.
If you have
if you understand that possibly we may not leave out of San Juan, you may leave out of Fort Lauderdale, but we will get you on a cruise. We will make sure that we give you options. But when that would take place, I really don't know. I really know that the company is super hopeful. We're putting all of our plans in place. We've been working on this for months. As soon as we shut down, we started working on stuff, going, all right, how do we get back to sailing again? Now we just get to put all those plans in action. So, will you hear before the first of the year? I doubt it.
Okay.
Because I think we're going to remain hopeful for that. But I also would ask you to, be flexible with possibly having to change a port. And it's so hard. Everything's just so up in the air right now. It's such a moving target. But if you get to go, Summit's a great ship.
I would say it's difficult to figure out until we see some of the first passenger sailings and how those are going to determine how much you guys are going to be able to expand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have plans, we have, if this happens, then we can do this. If this happens, we can do this. And if this happens, we can do this. There's contingency plans for contingencies. So if we're sailing, when we're sailing during that time, I feel very good that you will have an option to be on a ship.
Okay.
And Anne, I would say do your air through Southwest where you can
That's
change
where my
it,
credits are.
or do it through Celebrity so that we can
Celebrity,
change it too.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
one of those two will make sure that you're okay. And actually the cruise line or the airlines are now waiving any change fees. So you should be okay regardless. But I know going to San Juan is going to be a little bit more expensive than flying down to Fort Lauderdale. So you may not want to put that much into it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would say if you're not looking at Southwest, have me check on Celebrity, or you can check on Celebrity Air for that, that you might be better off.
Celebrity Air is always great. If you have Southwest credits, I think sooner than later, it's another one of those things with the airlines, right? If the second that we say, hey, we're returning to sailing, what airfare is going to do, right? On those key days before
San Juan's already astronomical.
Yeah. So take that and then multiply it by airlines. They have stuff to make up, and they have no shame in doing that.
Yes.
Such a joy. What else?
Hey, Daniel, Mark alluded to this, but what's Celebrity and the other group's going to do as far as excursions?
Yeah. So, we're still looking at a lot of that stuff, but what you could kind of figure, another brand out there had done it, MSC. MSC started overseas. They were sailing at the end of the summer, doing some Europe stuff, and they had mandatory, if you wanted to get off the ship, you had to go on their shore excursions. There was a family, I'm sure a lot of you probably saw this story, there's a family that decided not to go on the excursion, and they didn't get to continue on with their cruise. To kind of go with the safety of everybody. It's one of those things where we know it's not the most popular thing and what everybody wants, but it's temporary. And I would see us offering a variety of tiers. I would also see us being able to offer, beach time or, distillery time or whatever it is. I see just so many varieties. But you're not going to be able to just get off and go wander at this point. And it's us going to our vendors and making sure that their transportation is you know, clean and sanitize and all that. And there's some things that we will release soon, and we've been looking at them with our vendors, and the requirements that we'll have for our vendors is a lot. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of safety precautions that we will be taking. I can't necessarily speak on them right now, but there are some really great protocols that will be put in place to ensure safety. So again, for the time being, you're probably looking at, you know, shore excursions. Now, what that looks like in Alaska later this year or later next year, I can't even go down that route because my brain is telling me that maybe it won't be there. Maybe we won't have that, and you will be able to do your excursions, or you'll be able to get off the ship in Juneau and go have some drinks before you go on your. You'll be able to do whatever you want. Is my hope. Pray for it. What else?
Will there be a limited number? Would you say you're going to start up with maybe 50% passenger capacity, and then slowly build yourself up?
Yeah. So we haven't been given those numbers yet, but yeah, I feel pretty good about a 50%. I think that's a fair number to start with, and slowly ramp up from there. Yeah, yeah, 50% is probably a safe number. We'll come out with those in the very near future. You know, we have 3,000 passenger ships, you know, so we get down to 1,500, makes social distancing a lot easier, makes managing just about everything from dining to shows to all that kind of stuff a lot easier. You know, and on our smaller ships, a ship like Summit that Anne's on, you know, you're looking at, let's say 2,200 people is the max typically on that ship. You know, you're talking about 1,000 people. It's kind of nice. Sign me up. But the other thing also is I want to make sure that just because we are reducing the number of guests that can be on the ship doesn't mean that you're going to lose anything based on service from our team. You're not going to feel like it's a ghost town or you can't get something. That celebrity experience will not be affected in any way. In fact, you'll be able to get to Martini Bar probably a little bit easier.
Oh, we don't have a problem with that.
I know you take over the whole thing.
So you're going to staff it at the same level as if it was 100% capacity?
So we won't staff it at 100% capacity, because then that would cut into max numbers and things like that. It's just we're going to make sure that it's staffed to properly accommodate all the guests. And typically what we would look at is we are very close to a 2-to-1 ratio. So for every, you know, 2 of you, there's 1 staff member. So we would still try to get to that ratio, just so you guys don't miss out on anything.
And I would tend to think that you would actually have a little bit better than 2-to-1, a little lower difference, because there's some, well, the 2-to-1 obviously includes people like the captain and other people that we don't actually interact with.
Yeah.
But those people are still going to be needed on the ship, whether or not there's a full crew or full number of passengers or 50%. So
Sure.
I tend to think that the service could be even better than it already is, just from that standpoint.
Yeah, I think that, you know, again, get me on when it's 50%. I think that the crew is going to be very happy, very attentive. They're not going to feel like they're running around like crazy all the time trying to keep up with the drink orders and dining room and all that. But yeah, I don't think we're going to really lose. I don't think you're going to feel that there's less staff anyways. I think you'll feel really good about it. And on Flora, it's even more, I think, more than 2-to-1. It's ridiculous. Anything you want, you get. It's crazy.
I think
And
we've
Tracy,
10% booked on that one. Yes, Mark?
So if I'm looking at that 10-day Southern, I can still go ahead and book that on their site, right? It's not like taken off their site in 22?
Oh, no, the
Okay.
signs are still out there. Yeah, but don't book it on their site, book it through me.
Oh, I was just looking at it. You know which one I'm
Yeah,
looking at, that
send
10-day
it to
Southern out of
Tracy.
Fort Lauderdale, right?
Send it to Tracy. We'll we'll enhance some things for you. But we are open. So, Mark, it's actually a kind of a good lead into something. We have deployment open until May 4th of 22. Galapagos, I think, is actually open until December 31st of 22.
Mhm.
So all that's still open. It's bookable. You're good to go. I think in the next couple of weeks, we'll probably see some announcements on deployment for summer of 22. So your Europe and Alaska seasons. I think getting a jump on that sooner than later. People are kind of itching to get stuff planned. So, stay tuned for that. But yeah, if you're looking at early 22, Caribbean season, January through May of 22, I would take a look at it sooner than later. Yep.
Okay, I'll shoot you the email, Tracy, to
Okay,
let you know what we're looking at.
sounds great.
Yeah. What else? Anything? Yes,
I have
some
a-
great
I have a
questions.
I have a what if question. So if you're going to have reduced capacity when you start, and if you have already a ship that's got so many passengers on it, and it's that passenger number is over your reduced capacity, are people going to get bumped? Or, I mean, I don't know what your ships are looking like. You know, a lot of people are, have canceled their cruises, or is somebody going to
I
get?
say, can I take this one? I don't think there's
Go ahead, Tracy.
that much of a problem.
Okay.
Just looking at my bookings for next year, and I know a lot of travel agents are in the same boat I am. I don't have any measurable bookings for the first half, almost the first half of next year.
Okay.
I think there will be in January. I don't think we have anybody booked for. So I think that we're not going to have those issues.
So, yeah, I agree with Tracy. Karen, great question. I can peel back the curtains a little bit, but not a ton. Q1, I really don't see any true issues with that. As the year goes on, we hope that our occupancy increases just based on the demand. And right now, we feel really good. We're kind of going full steam ahead on this. Q1 or January, February, it all kind of works itself out. But if we have extreme reduced capacity into August, because it's booking so well, Alaska's booming. We'll, I guess, cross that bridge when we get there. But we feel very comfortable that when we do have the protocols in place and we do have successful sailings, we'll be able to increase our capacity pretty quickly. I hope. It's our goal.
Yeah, based on what's been happening around the world, I think, and what I've seen from the CDC report and from the other cruise lines, I think that they will move fairly quickly through the sailings and get up to more capacity, more ships sooner rather than later. And hopefully the numbers start dropping with COVID cases around the United States, that it's not as much of a concern, and they still have the procedures in place, because the CDC order is supposed to last a year, if I remember right.
Yeah, till November.
Yeah, so I think that
It can always be, they can move it up. So if we're doing really well, we hope that they would move it up.
yeah.
The other thing is, as we have success, we will bring more ships back on, which then gives us, a little bit more flexibility. That there have been a couple of cruise lines that are within our umbrella or joint partnerships, that we have TUI Cruises and Hapag Lloyd.
they're over in Europe. They've been sailing for almost a month and a half or 2 months now. Now, Hapag-Lloyd pulled back a little bit because of where they go and the shutdowns in Europe. But TUI right now, just because of the ports of call they go to, I think they're allowed to still sail. So, they've ramped some stuff up also. So yeah, we'll get there. It's something that to predict what's going to happen in the next hour or in the next day or the next week or the next whatever, it's such, it's a toss up. But our goal, right, our main goal is to give you guys the best experience on a celebrity ship or whatever ship you're sailing on, and not lose out on anything like you've experienced in the past, and get you on healthy and get you home healthy and get you back to work or back to whatever you do every day healthy. Those are our main goals. So whatever it takes to get there, it's temporary pain for success down the road. Just make sure you have a pretty mask for every night.
Have they said that they've talked about requiring vaccines? I mean, you go to some foreign countries, right? You're required to have certain shots.
Yeah.
Have they talked about that at all, or?
That I haven't heard anything of. I think I don't know. I don't know if it's something we would do. I think it's too soon for us to look at that. But okay. I mean, I know exactly where your head is going. I had one agent I was talking to, a travel partner of mine. She says, yeah, back in the day, she used to have to carry her, is it polio or I don't know what vaccine, it was a yellow card or something like that she used to have, when you traveled, she'd have to carry it around. She said, will we go back to that? I said, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Hey, Mark, just an FYI. So the vaccines aren't out yet, but they're thinking probably the first half of 2021. There will be a hierarchy on who is first in line for those vaccines. Definitely it's going to be healthcare workers, your police, your firemen, and those who are high risk, like your nursing home patients. So once they do come out, the general public is probably not going to be able to get them for a little bit.
Seniors.
Yeah.
Well, that qualifies.
Okay.
Some of us make it.
And I don't know if it's going to be like the flu vaccine where if you're allergic to eggs, you can't get it. So there's a lot of things.
I was just wondering if they have talked about that, because it was in one of the slides. The vaccines is part of the overall, hopefully, solution, right?
I think Richard's point with that is and there's something that he said later in the video that I didn't bring up, and I've heard this analogy a couple times before. All of those things, when used together, make a better situation. And he said if you look at each one of those as like a piece of Swiss cheese, when you put it together, pretty soon you have something that's a solid piece of cheese, because you cover up the holes in what
So
this
Wisconsin
is. Maybe that's why I like Richard so much.
Yeah, that's why it stuck with you. It's a Wisconsin analogy.
I had heard that once before too, and I said, yeah, that makes total sense, because you wear a mask and you're not protecting yourself 100%, but you are making it a little bit better. Then you add in the social distancing, and that makes it a little bit better. And then you've got the treatments are available, and so I think that was more his point, is that there's a lot of options out there. Vaccines are like the very last one, and that's what most of the scientists have been saying. Dr. Fauci, who I don't know if he still has a job or not, but
I think he does.
He has been saying that you wear the mask is one layer of prevention. That's not going to take care of everything. You still need to do the other stuff, and the vaccines are like they would rather see you do the social distancing and masking than relying on a vaccine.
I'd rather jump out of an airplane with a parachute. Maybe that's the last resort, but I'll start there. I'll have a parachute.
I'd rather just have some cheese right now because
And I'd rather have the pilot know how to fly so we could just land. But, you know, it's,
Yeah, it's the combination, right?
yeah,
It's, you know, they'll say is having a good pilot, right? Having a runway to land on, having a parachute, having a safety belt and oxygen, right? It's not going to be the one thing, and that's why I'm not so sure, you know, the direction that we would go of requiring the vaccine. Um, you know, celebrity as a brand, you know, I don't know if it's something that would make sense. Obviously, I leave that up to our leaders and you know, the vaccine too, right? But it's the layers. It's all about the layers.
you have everything from people who might be allergic to the vaccine to people who have religious questions about taking a vaccine. And they all want to get on a ship. I mean, obviously everyone does. So,
Yeah, you know, again, you know, I'll wrap it up here. Is there's a lot for us to still work through. There's a lot for us to learn. Every day is a new challenge, but every day we overcome a challenge. So, you know, bear with us as we get through everything. We are trying to give everybody the most up-to-date, accurate information that we have. Tracy is a great asset for you. Tracy and I talk. We will work through things. We will find the answers for you if we don't know them. You know, it just kind of bear with us as we get through all this. I know 2020 has been one of those years. My favorite thing I saw the other day is the whole daylight savings time thing. We didn't need another hour in 2020. We could have done without it, but we're going to get through it, right? We're going to be cruising against it. We are making sure that we can give you that vacation you guys have always dreamed of. So hang in there. Let me know. Let Tracy know what we can do. If you have something to book, there's great opportunities out there. I appreciate you guys all jumping on, you know, spending a little time talking about this stuff. It's not always the most fun stuff. We didn't really talk about destinations and all that, but this is the reality that we live in. We got to get through this before we get to the destinations. I think the destinations are next.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the sharing. I should have done that a while ago so we can all see each other. And I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight and coming always with us, and look forward to getting back on board with you all. And I'm not sure what we're doing next week. I can't remember. I think I'm doing Azamara next week. So, and then we've got a special special presentation that we're going to do 2 weeks from now on Toad Gives Back, and talk a little bit about our nonprofit organization and what we're doing in the future, and get some more information to you on that and how we're going to be giving back through our travel. With, I think, our next travel destination is going to be on the Alaska cruise with Celebrity, that we're going to do some stuff for Toad Gives Back there. So thanks everybody again for coming, and we'll see you again soon.